36 years. And the role of Drop-In Center in the community is to be that open door for individuals on the street. So when you're moved on from this park bench, you're moved on from this doorway, you're moved out of this program, for whatever reason, we're the place that is set to take you in. And we've served that function for single men and women for, like I said, 36 years. The goal is to maintain that open door, but also to become a place where you transform your life. And so we have services available on site, both placement services and case management services, so that everyone, when they come in, they meet initially with someone to do initial triage with them, refer them to whatever appropriate services there are within or outside the shelter. Everyone meets with placement specialists to try to determine a housing plan of action for individuals. And then we have a team of 9 case managers that is, not only serves the residents of the Drop-In Center, but serves every shelter in the homeless individual system, including the Gospel Mission and St. Francis St. Joseph House, and even people on the streets with the Downtown Street Outreach Program. So we provide that kind of center of case management for homeless individuals. We have 3 dorms as part of the Drop-In Center. We have an entry dorm for men, which has up to 120 beds available for people just coming in off the street. We have a men's step-up program that we started a year ago, which is 60 beds for men that are interested in working, saving, or actively seeking employment, where they receive more amenities in exchange for some behavioral expectations, and that's been working very well. And then we have our women's dorm, which is 42 beds, and we're able to provide individualized plans of action for homeless women. There's been a lot of discussion about the homeless to homes planning process. In addition to if people are unaware what that is, that's a process that was mandated by City Council in 2008 and implemented by a group called the Continuum of Care for the Homeless. And it basically brought together all the systems and agencies serving homeless individuals. It didn't really deal with families, but it dealt with homeless individuals, trying to develop a comprehensive plan of action for sheltering. In addition to that process, the Drop-In Center is also undergoing a strategic planning process, and as part of that, we've gone out to look at best practices in shelters. And to date, we've been to over a dozen cities across the country and even in other countries. We've visited over 50 shelters, all larger scale urban shelters, looking at how they have modified their programming, constructed their facilities, and kind of operate in their various systems in their city surroundings to deliver best practice services for the homeless. And so we're interested in pairing our local findings, local data, with best practice models we're getting from elsewhere to kind of be sure that the Drop-In Center continues to remain to be current and respond in the most appropriate way given the changing circumstances. So, in terms of best practices, one of the things that's common to what we've seen across the country and to homeless to homes is having smaller scale residences. So whereas before you may have had a dorm that has 100 to 150 people, while those still exist, best practices would be smaller dorms or residences that are targeted towards specific populations, either based on gender, age, motivation, working status. It's basically, you could tailor make that dorm environment to fit that person more uniquely. And the Drop-In Center has already started implementing that with our step-up program a year ago, but we're looking even further, looking at our dorms to tailor make populations as carefully as possible. Also, an interior courtyard, kind of focusing services around an interior courtyard is a best practice. That way, when residents need to go out and take a break, they need to grab a smoke, they need to get from point A to point B within the kind of campus, they're going across an interior courtyard with a certain sense of privacy, a certain sense of boosted amenities as part of that courtyard. That could be a campus setting, that could be like a square around building with a large green in the center, that type of thing. Also, partnering with other agencies to have rich amenities on site. We've seen some very, very large one-stop shops where they bring almost every conceivable social service in the city under one roof. I don't think we need to go that far, but the best sites that we've seen are view themselves as multi-service centers. So the shelter is probably the lead component. It is probably the main component. There are other partner agencies co-located on site to provide, social services, medical services, job services, and other kind of engagement services on site. So it's kind of seen as a multi-agency collaborative, even though they're named the lead agency. The overarching goal, where are we going? What is the point of all this? The point of where the drop-in center is going is we want to make residents' stay as short and productive as possible. There may be other programs, permanent supportive housing programs, transitional programs, where the goal may be to keep people in longer. But the goal of emergency shelter at this point is to try to make your stay brief. It's not a permanent lifestyle to stay at an emergency shelter. And so the ethic of that is really permeating drop-in center at this point, to the extent that we're really decreasing our length of stay. We're focusing every month on targeting some long-term residents of the shelter and trying to find alternate permanent housing for those individuals. And so this is making a difference in the numbers that we're seeing out of the drop-in center, the length of stay numbers, and the whole environment of the center. If any of you have been by to serve, I know Christchurch does serving line dates. You'll note that it's less hectic. There's fewer people hanging around during the day because they're out being productive. That's a good thing. We're being successful. We're changing the tone and what's expected of the emergency shelter. So we're excited about that. I know we're going to open it for questions. There's been news. There's been a lot of articles about 3CDC offering, to move the drop-in center. I think we are definitely, drop-in center is interested in hearing all options. We want to do what's best for the clients. Any resources that are at the table, we want to make use of. We want to make sure that we are, as we're incorporating these philosophies into our programming, that we're right-sized and arranged in the best way possible, whatever site we're at. And so at this point, we are talking to 3CDC. It's very preliminary stages. There's nothing been decided yet, but the discussions are taking place. You're not going to hear from drop-in center that our ears are closed. We're always willing to hear. We're always willing to be collaborative. But if it comes to moving, the only reason that we would ever consider moving is if it's in the best interest of our residents. Period. We know that there are people who are afraid of our clients. We know there are people who want us out for whatever reasons. That's not going to motivate our decision at all. If we do anything, it's going to be based on the best interest of our clientele. So I think that's it in a nutshell. But I'm open for more questions.